TRW here with Kyber rifles. Let's see, Kyber rifles introduction. Kyber rifles is a tactical level game simulating the constant struggle between the forces of the Raj and their various opponents. For example, Afghan native irregulars and regulars and the fierce Pathan tribesmen of the northwest frontier. The period depicted here is the mid-1870s through the early 1880s. The scenarios are primarily hypothetical occurrences that are representative of the types of actions that took place in this area during that time period. Great idea. I still say such a great idea, concept for a war game. From the Wargamer magazine number 34 from 1984. Again, designer's Edward Fury. Name doesn't ring a bell at all. Don't know anything about him. So this game hit the target as a game, but for me it missed the target as a simulation. It evoked for me memories of playing with little army men in the backyard as a kid, with all the drama to go along with that. It generated some excitement as native tribesmen poured up the slope and moved in to close hand-to-hand combat with British soldiers here in their improved position. The waves of tribesmen coming up against the rise there with the village on top of it, I guess you could say, and then being thrown back. Yeah, that all actually started to work. The oddly colored map, and I'll just talk about the colors. The colors really wasn't that much of an issue once I got playing. Color choices kind of faded to the background. Wasn't really too big of an issue, although it is funny. It's hilarious that I finally read the article in this issue of Wargamer magazine. The long for a wargaming magazine, the long article on state of the art of wargaming, graphics, cartography, and illustration. Great article, by the way, very interesting. I won't talk about that, but it's funny that one of the main articles in the magazine is graphic design in war games, and especially maps. Well, no, it's not just maps. But maps maps figure prominently in that article, and this idea. Two ideas come out from that article with respect to maps. A bad map can break a game. Case study. Not really, but this is a good example of that issue. And the other one. So a bad map can break a game, and that the importance of a map to a war game is underappreciated, and the work of the graphic designers behind the maps is underappreciated. So not a good juxtaposition with this particular map in this particular game. I still think that this is an error. I don't think this was intended. What else? I think I already talked about I'll call it the make or break combat system, is just, it might have even been the designer's intent. I was wondering if, I wondered if it wasn't the designer's intent to have this make or break combat system go with, tribesmen charging up, getting hit with a bunch of, British fire, and then darting back away, and then back and forth. That possibly could have been the designer's intent, but I don't buy that. I was thinking about this game. When I was thinking about this game, it reminded me of the issue. I'll call it the national issue, the national versus, I guess, human behavior, issue with war games. Specifically, I'm talking about, do you put in rules that are meant to reflect some type of quote-unquote national, characteristics, the stiff British upper lip, garbage, or the, fanatical Japanese. I'm just really not, I don't warm up to those ideas at all. I much prefer to talk about, kind of universal human behavior under fire, universal human behavior in combat. Certainly for this scale and scope. Maybe national characteristics might be able to be argued for more convincingly at maybe higher scales and larger scopes, but yeah. Anyways, I hope that this make or break combat model wasn't. But anyways, I don't know, and I shouldn't speculate. In any case, this type of make or break, I don't know what you want to call it, other than make or break. Make or break means you fire, you have absolutely no effect whatsoever. You have a morale check. With a failed morale check, route move, or losses with morale checks, with route moves out from failed morale checks. That's just too. That's too much. That's just too stark for me. That's just too stark. We're talking if these are what 10-minute turns. Oh, so these are 10-minute turns. Where is it? I think it's 10-minute turns. These are 10-minute turns. These are 50-yard hexes, right? So if a unit is up here, if a unit is within, let's say, 200 yards of the British, they take fire. Then they don't even take losses, but they have to take a morale check. They fail a morale check. It's not that hard to do. I found it not that hard to do. They go darting back. We're talking, 350 yards. And if they fail again, it's another 350 yards. So let's just say they fail twice. They wind up, 700 yards away in 20 minutes max. Although really, it's probably less than 20 minutes. So they basically. They just fled pell-mell. They just fled pell-mell. And there's a lot of it, basically. A force goes up 50% or more is just fleeing, dashing away. It makes for it can make for some fun. But I don't buy that simulation. I don't buy the simulation value in that. Okay, but what else? This is a small thing. This is really not big, but I did notice it as I'm playing the game, which is that's what's going to happen, right? So it's something for me. So you have a kneeling tribesman. A generic tribesman on the right. You have a generic British infantryman standing on the left. That Afghan soldier's a giant. That Afghan soldier's towering like 10 10 feet over the the British soldier. It just, if you're going to use these kind of line figure drawings, I actually prefer them to be at least roughly in scale. Because, and I'll tell you why, this is where it starts looking funny. You got these huge Afghan figures right next to these tiny little British figures. I know it's all an optical thing. It is an optical thing. It is a presentation thing only, but hey, I'm going to go ahead and say it since I had to look at it quite a bit here. The rules themselves, I still think that there's a straightforward contradiction. I mean, it's the phasing player attempts to rally all of his troops who are currently in a state of panic and are within the leadership bonus range and line of sight. Oh, I know what I did. I think, oh yeah, actually I'm going to talk about it. So I think that directly contradicts what's later in the rally rules, which says the rally phase, which is he may attempt to rally all of his units and leaders that are in a state of panic or disgrace route that are stacked with or adjacent to an undisgraced leader. That sounds like an exact, and by the way, that's a huge difference. We're talking stacked with or adjacent to a leader, good order leader, versus within line of sight and command leadership bonus range. I mean, leadership bonus range, we're looking at 4 hexes, 5 hexes. Wait, that's not leader. 2 hexes for this guy, 3 hexes for this guy, 2 hexes for this guy. So between 2 and 5 hexes for the tribesmen, and the British we're talking 7 hexes, 5 hexes, and that's a huge difference versus just stacked with or adjacent. So not sure what was intended there. Huge difference though. That does remind me, in my play. And I have to make this very clear. This is one thing that prompted me to think of continuing to play, although I am going to move on to something else. But unfortunately, I mean, I think I would have liked to continue on. So I guess I'll be coming back to this. Well, yeah, I'll say right now, I'm actually going to be coming back to this, despite what I'm saying. I think I was. This is bad. I think I was. I think I'm not positive. Again, I don't have time to go back and look at anything that's already recorded. But I may have been vastly underrating my my ability to pass morale checks, and this is why. I think I was not following this rule. This is very important. I think this would make a huge difference, and it's right here. It's when making morale check. The die roll may be modified by subtracting from it the leadership bonus of the closest friendly leader, provided the unit has clear line of sight and is within the bonus range. So again, we talked about bonus ranges are not, I mean, bonus ranges are, again, quite significant. Well, they're quite significant relative to lines of sight, right? I mean, all of these guys in the open here, the tribesmen have to pass, they have to pass this open area, right, to get to the British. This, of course, is the challenge, right? They can move covered and concealed up to here, and then they have to cross the open space. Well, when they're in the open space, I mean, it's not that hard to be within the leadership bonus range of a leader, and these leadership bonuses are pretty nice. I mean, so I should have been applying. Basically, I should have been applying a -3, a -2. That one's a -0, but a minus. Oh, that was a -0 too. A -1. So 1, 2, or 3, basically for the tribesmen. That's significant. That is significant. I think that would have tamped down my running. Yeah. So I really don't think I was following that rule. I ended in turn 6. This is significant. I don't think maybe I was supposed to start with the tribesmen entering on one of the close edges. So that's a close edge of the map, meaning it's only a few hexes to the British. This is also a close map side. Again, they're only a few hexes to the British rise, British position. I started on the two farther edges, and I'm in turn 6. There's only 10 for the scenario. I don't see. I mean, the tribesmen at this point need to clear out the British from all the buildings there. They wouldn't even get close. So maybe I did read that part of the scenario wrong. You know, more to say. It was a bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Oh yeah, so I'll say, you know, there are some obvious problems that I've already mentioned. So that, done with that, there are some things I like. Definitely some ideas I like that are here. I like this this non-standard, non-linear fire CRT. I like it a lot. Actually, they do it for the melee CRT as well. But it's even more noticeable on the fire CRT. And what this clearly allows you to do, this clearly allows the designer to do, is to work with a lot of different what I noticed right away when I saw this, because 2 to 12, of course you have your spread of different, you have basically your two scales of percentages, basically 2 to 6 and 8 to 12 are a spread, and then 7 is on its own, right? And so when the designer, for example, adds, like on the 3 to 15 column, and the designer has a morale check on in 8, 6, or 5, you know, that's not 3 out of 11. That's a different percentage based on the specific percentages of those numbers. So this allows, I think, the designer to get a lot of fine detail in the results, and I like that. I like that a lot. This, I like. Once I finally saw this in practice, I like this a lot. I don't know how uncommon or common this is, frankly. Still wondering, still exploring. Probably will be exploring for a long time still, but this modified morale, modified combat strength for melee, separated for attack or defender. Now I finally figured out what this is, because you have an attack and a counter attack. That means that if the attacker is attacking by melee a defender in the clear, the attacker is getting a 1.5. The defender is getting no modification. So this is not the standard, which I never really cared for. Obviously, it applies at certain scale and scope, but not at this scale and scope. The old thing of you just use the defender's hex and then every modification is off the defender, blah blah blah. No, this is the attacker is attacking through the rocky terrain and is getting a 50% bonus in strength. I do believe the idea is that they have cover as they approach and get close, and so that is a bonus. I like that. I like that a lot. And so this is what's intended here. And I like that. May not have explained that so well, but I like that. Once I saw that in practice, I was like, I like that. What else? Let's see. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. Yeah, I guess I didn't get to cavalry yet, or sappers, or Gatling guns. Yeah. So there were some things to like. So it's Kyber rifles, Wargamer magazine number 34. Again, designer Edward Fury.